Good morning, my dear students. How are you today? Today we are going to study chapter 5 in our novel this year, David Copperfield. And the title is Steer Forth Again. In our last chapter, we knew that David went to live with his aunt, Miss Betsy Trotwood, and she decided to keep him forever and take the chance, and she sent him to a good school in Canterbury called Dr. Strong School. We knew also that David saw Mr. Micawber, and Mr. Micawber was a neighbor to Urahib. Urahib was Mr. Wakefield's assistant, as we know. Today we are going to know some new incidents, and we have a new character, someone called Mr. Spenlow. And Mr. Spenlow was a partner in an important law firm. David would go to train at his office to be a good lawyer. After finishing school, Miss Betsy asked David to go to have a holiday in London, so he decided to go to London, and there he met his friend Steerforth. He knew that Steerforth was studying at Oxford University, and they talked and they met each other there at the hotel. After that, Steerforth and David decided to go to Yarmouth, as David wanted to visit Bigoty and her family. So they went to Yarmouth to see her. When they arrived, first Bigoty didn't recognize David because he became taller or he became older, but she recognized him and she became very happy, and she held him in her arms and she insisted that he must stay at her house. After this period of time, he went back to Miss Betsy Trotwood, and there Miss Betsy Trotwood arranged a new job for him, as she paid £1,000 to Mr. Spenlow to teach David to teach him to be a lawyer or a good lawyer, and she rented him a small flat near the courts to be near the courts. We knew that Mr. Spenlow was an important law firm, and he was supposed to teach David to be a lawyer. Mr. Spenlow has a daughter called Dora. David would meet Agnes in the theatre in London, and he was drunk, and when she saw him drunk, she asked him to ask his friends to take him home. David was very sorry to see that Agnes saw him drunk, and he wanted her to forgive him. He went to Agnes, and there she told him that his friend Steerforth was a very bad one, and he should stay away from him. Now let's see our questions for this chapter. Question number 1. Who did David meet at the hotel in London? he met his friend Ch.5. Number 2. Where was Ch.5 studying? He was studying at Oxford University. Number 3. Why did Ch.5 and David go to Yarmouth? They went to Yarmouth to see Bigoty. What did Bigoty do when she saw David after 7 years? At first, she didn't recognize him, but when she recognized him, she became very happy. She held him in her arms and she insisted that he must stay in her house. Number 5. What did Mr. Toad arrange for David? She paid £1,000 to Mr. Spenlow to teach David to be a good lawyer, and she rented a small flat near the courts. Number 6. Who was Mr. Spenlow? Mr. Spenlow was a partner in an important law firm. He was supposed to teach David to be a lawyer. Number 7. Where did David meet Agnes? He met her in the theater in London. Number 8. What did Agnes ask David to do when she met him in the theater? She asked him to go home because he was drunk. What did Agnes tell David about Ch.5? She told him that Ch.5 was a bad friend and David should stay away from him. Now let's see the comments. God heavens, it's a little Copperfield. These words were said by Ch.5 to David when they met each other in London by chance. I congratulate you with all my heart. Ch.5 said these words to Ham when he knew that Ham was going to marry Emily. David, please do what I say. Ask your friend to take you home. These words were said by Agnes to David when she met David in the theater and he was drunk. Now I have finished our chapters for this term, and thank you for listening and see you next time.